Welcome to Live Life by Design. I'm your host, Nicole Mantilla Parato, and this is episode 15. And today I have a very, very special guest. I'm really so excited to present Peter Sterling to you guys. Peter is a world-renowned harpist in the genre of New Age and contemporary instrumental music. Peter's story is powerful and inspiring, and I do believe the angels have brought us together for this powerful, heart-opening, abundant episode. I just have all the feels right now. Peter's here from Sedona, so you're just feeling all the light coming in right now. Peter has devoted his life to service to the one through communication with a group of angels. He answered his heavenly calling 25 years ago, and it blossomed into an endlessly creative multimedia career spanning 16 studio albums, numerous music awards, a book called Hearing the Angels Sing, an impressive series of crystal frosted mandala art prints, enough to fill a gallery. Peter also creates sacred geometry stained glass art and presents dynamic workshops on the science of sound healing and sacred geometry. And you guys know this stuff is right up my alley, so we're going to be having some deep conversations today. He is the reminder that once you say yes to being an open vessel for the divine, the possibilities are infinite. Higher levels of creativity are unleashed, and you will be doing things that you never imagined with the logical mind for yourself. And this is just so perfectly fitting because these are the people I want you guys all to meet, because this is why I do what I do. Peter's angelic music has and continues to soften the hearts of the dying during their transition. It has assisted mothers at the time of birth and eases autistic children's suffering. For many, Peter's music has become the quintessential healing soundtrack for meditation and massage. He has received countless testimonials on how this divinely channeled music balances brains, opens hearts, and connects people to their innate spiritual essence. Peter's mission is to create music that will create an experience of transcendence in the listener, strike a chord on their heartstrings, and remind them of home, that feeling of oneness. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you so much, Nicole. What a beautiful introduction. That just makes me feel like I want to play my harp a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, yes.
The way you were talking about it, I'm sure people are like, ooh, I want to hear it. So let me just jump right in for a moment.
Yes.
And if you hear any inspiring words that want to come through as I'm playing, I'm just going to improvise just with this beautiful container you've created for us. I'm just going to let the music flow out. I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll just jump right in.
Everyone open your palms to receive. This is a meeting of angels. An opening of the heart. Of your fear. The worries drop off. was beautiful. Yes, everyone, just take a moment to feel that. There's no need for words in this moment. Just let it move through your body and expand your heart. Silakinia koria sitia om wataitia om. Everyone open to receive.
You need to stay here, right? You need to stay here. The harp is such a magical instrument. It's so easy to play, really. And I taught myself. So I really never took any formal lessons. What I'm doing is something that just comes through. My hands moved on the strings by themselves. But even having a harp and doing what's called a glissando, in short, it's called a gliss, and it rhymes with bliss. And this is just such a blissful, magical sound. Even having a harp and just strumming it like this is so magical and healing for people. I want to encourage everybody to get a little harp, and you can find them now. There's a harp renaissance happening now, so more people are finding sound tools, tools that vibrate in the high harmonic frequencies like crystal bowls and tuning forks, and harps, of course, have been used for millennia around the world in all the sacred healing temples of Egypt and Greece and ancient Samaria. And, there's even stories that even Jesus played the harp, when he was young. And King David, of course, King of Israel, played the harp he was, slayed Goliath, but even as a young boy, he played the lyre harp. And he composed the Psalms of the Old Testament. He channeled these heavenly prayers by strumming the harp. So it's a very, very magical, perhaps the most magical instrument. So I want to see everybody all over the world playing harps. I think it's part of the Ascension plan is to get more people strumming harps to emanate these kind of heavenly harmonics to help with the ascension, the upliftment of the planet and humankind through using sacred sound tools and instruments and the harp. So
I think that's so important, what you said too about finding an instrument that opens your heart and heals you. And I can't wait to talk about how the Celtic harp came to you. But I have found that too. For me as a child, it was the piano, and I didn't have lessons. I just sat in front of it and my fingers would move. And throughout life, every time I'm going through something in my journey, a new instrument comes in. And when you messaged me and we connected, I listened to The Winding Way, one of your albums, and I loved it. And I was playing it as I walked through the forest, and I started visualizing myself playing a harp. I'm like, after our podcast, I'm probably going to wind up buying a harp, and I'm going to have to ask you all the details on what harp to get, because I was walking through the forest and I was like moving my fingers, and I weave, but this was like I was playing a harp as I was listening to you, and I was like just thanking you for the blessing of your music, because the forest felt alive as I was listening to The Winding Way.
Well, The Winding Way, the cover of the album, I don't have.
Do you have it?
Well, I have to look.
Okay.
I can look, but it is a forest pathway, an enchanting pathway into an enchanted forest, and that album, and even on the back cover, there's a picture of me standing in the forest with my harp. So that's the theme of that album. And there's even a song on there called The Elven Queen.
That was one of my favorite. As I felt like a conductor as I was walking through the forest to the squirrels.
Yeah. And I have a vocal on there of a woman speaking in Elven language, kind of Gaelic, Irish, Elvic language. And she, the words she says, I will meet you in the clearing in the forest, my true love, my soulmate, I'll meet you there in the forest, that sacred place where we meet. standing silent like a tree, It's so beautiful, that piece. It's so magical. So it's really touching me that you received it in that way, and you really got it. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I saw green emerald light all around, like orbs were coming. It was really magical. The sky even looked different. Everything looked brighter. You know when you up level in frequency, listen to something because
Yeah.
it all gets brighter, right? And it
Yes.
clarifies.
Yeah, that's my music has been tested. It really changes your frequency, and it changes the brainwave state, actually. It puts people, and this was tested in Arizona State University some years ago, where they were doing, a neurologist down there, a PhD neurologist, was doing some brain mapping, brainwave states using different music. And they found out that when they tested my music, they found out that people, through entrainment, because the brain will entrain the
Yeah.
sound frequencies of music, that it would people would entrain to a theta state
Okay.
within moments of listening. They would go into theta, which is a visionary state. It's known as the twilight state, and it's connected to lucid dreaming. But it enhances creativity, and it opens you up into kind of that dream time awareness. And you're right, colors and sounds are enhanced. It's like it brings you into a magical realm, and that's what my music has always been for since I received it, from the angels. Now, actually, this year is my 30th anniversary of the release of my first album, Harp Magic, which I received here in Sedona. This is where the harp came to me. Was when I was out when I came to Sedona, in the late 80s, early 90s. I was living in my car. I got a message from my inner voice that something big was going to come to me when I got here. And it's very common with people when they come to Sedona, that they receive something like a major download, a major life download of something. And that's what happened to me. As soon as I came here, and I was so drawn to the outback and the forest, and I would just hike by myself for hours and explore in solitude in these ancient canyons and climb up on the rocks and just sit and meditate in the silence there. That was the portal for me, Nicole, was that I was guided to just immerse myself in these canyons and sit in the silence that exists there. There's this extraordinary tranquility and silence that exists in the outback here in the canyons. And when you get real quiet, you can actually hear a vibration. There's a high-pitched ringing tone. The magnetic fields of the crystalline earth grid here, of the primeval earth that's so ancient, because the rocks that you're sitting next to, they've been dated up to 500 million years old. So there's this very ancient, timeless presence in these ancient canyons. And when you sit and you just relax and come into resonance with the electromagnetic field there and the frequency, people call it the ringing rocks. When you get real quiet, very still, you can hear an audible, high-pitched ringing tone. And that's what I was guided to really connect with. I was guided to just connect in with that frequency, and that's what I did. And all of a sudden, through a series of progressive experiences, when I got very still and very quiet and just went into the silence and just tuned into that frequency, all of a sudden that tone frequency opened up like a hologram. And all of a sudden I was able to hear the angelic choirs and the celestial music. That tone was the portal that I came into connection with. And then it opened up like an alpha and omega portal, right? And then it opened up to this expansive heavenly vision and sound of, golden light and just the most beautiful sound of celestial tones and music I had ever heard, and of angelic choirs singing to me. And then my inner voice was guiding, kept telling me to just, the mantra that came through, Nicole, over and over was trust, surrender, and let go. And let the sound current take you on a journey. Because I had heard of many of the mystics and saints speak of the inner music, right? And there's an inner light and sound. And so all of a sudden, I was having my own direct experience of this. And the guidance was trust, surrender, and let go. So as I let go and trusted, I was able to just really use that sound as a vehicle of transcendence to travel out of my body into another dimension. And an aspect of my awareness was able to soul travel on that sound, and I was taken by it up into the light. And all of a sudden, I was just bathed in golden light, and the feeling was one of just pure divine love and oneness and bliss. And it was just like washing my soul, cleansing my soul of, it was such a beautiful, magical experience. As I looked around within the golden light, and I was seeing with my third eye on the inner planes, I could see there were some sort of subtle shapes and forms around me in the light, and something was telling me, just was guiding me to how to see in that dimension. I had to adjust my focal point, and all of a sudden when I did it, just like how the sound opened up, all of a sudden this golden light opened up to an amazing vision of being surrounded by angels. There was a group, a flock of them that were floating in the air around me in this ethereal space. And I could see them just like I'm looking at you. And they were the cherubs. They were the little cherub-like you're very cherub-like.
Yeah, they're my people.
Yeah, you've got cherubs all around you, you know? And so all of a sudden, there they were, and I was seeing them just like I'm looking at you, and I could see their eyes, their face, their mouth, and they had these little bodies, but they were like old souls in these little bodies, and they had wings, not feathered wings, but they had wings of light, and they were moving all around me, fluttering all around me. And all of a sudden in my mind, Nicole, I could hear them talking amongst themselves. And they were like, look at him. Do you think he could see us? And I don't know, it looks like he's looking at us. And in my mind, I spoke to them telepathically, and I said, I can see you. Can you see me? And they said, yes, we can see you. Can you see us? I said, yes, I can. And then, can you hear us? I said, I can hear you. And once they realized that I could see them and hear them, that we had that link up. The cherubs, they got so excited. They started to kind of like dance around me. They were so excited. Like it was a very special moment because they had made contact with a human mortal with a telepathic connection. It doesn't happen all the time.
No.
And this was something I was told that was in my destiny, and they had been with me a long, long time, perhaps my whole life, waiting for me to see if they never know what's going to happen. But this was the mission that I came in with. I was incarnated. I was with them before this life. When I incarnated, I had to say goodbye. And I write about it in my book, in the intro, Hearing the Angels Sing. And I talk about this kind of very ancient soul memory of when I was with them. And then all of a sudden, gravity pulled me in, and I incarnated into planet Earth and through my mother. And I was like saying, goodbye, goodbye. And then all of a sudden I came in, but I always had that memory of them. Even when I was a young child, my mother told me when I was 2 or 3, I would sit in front of the mirror and stare at myself. And my mother would say, who are you looking at, Peter? And she said, one day, as I was doing this, I looked and I said, Mom, where did I come from? Mother said, you came from heaven.
Aww.
And I just took that in. I said, that's right. That's where I came from. And so I've had that awareness, my whole life. And like you, as a child at 6, I started playing the piano spontaneously by ear, and the music started coming through me. But something happened. I got cut off from it. And then when I started playing the harp, it was like the first melodies were very similar to those childhood melodies I was playing on the piano by ear. So that's kind of how it started.
That's so similar to me because my grandmother had the piano. And when I visited her, she's in Florida and I'm in New York. That's the only time that I could play it. And I begged my parents for a piano and they didn't get me a piano. So I was like, I wanted the piano. Um, and then when I got a guitar, I was called to buy a 12-string guitar. I would play the same melodies that I was playing on the piano. It was like the same songs were wanting to come through me that I
Right.
was playing on the piano on the strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Um,
totally get you with that.
yeah. For me, what happened, I was about 6 and my brother's 5 years older. He was practicing violin one evening in the living room, and we had an old stand-up piano antique that had been passed down through my grandmother and whatnot. And all of a sudden, I just went and I sat at the piano. I started accompanying and playing along with him just by ear. And my mother came into the room. She was like, "Oh my God." Like it was just natural. And then
Yeah.
that started every day after school at night. I would just practice on the piano. My mother would come sit and have her, happy hour cocktail and recline and have her cigarette. And she would just listen to me play. And then all of a sudden, she started inviting friends to come over. And I started doing these little recital performances for people.
That's
And I
amazing.
was up and down the keys, and I told her, I'm playing my masterpieces, mother. I was 6. I said, I'm playing my masterpieces. And she was like, oh my God. So she called her friend who was a pianist, a Hollywood guy. We were living in LA, and he was an actor. He came over and Rod Stewart, and he came over and he watched me play. My mom said, play for him now. So I sat and I played. And he was an accomplished pianist who had technique, and I had no real technique.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh well, this is nice," but he said, "You're going to have to learn how to play it properly." And when he said that, it was just the tone
Yeah,
that
it's
shut me down.
crushing. Yeah,
It
no.
made me think like I'm not doing it right all of a sudden, and then I stepped away from it. And it was all these years later when it came back to me and I got it like this was always in me, and I'm picking up where I left off. I'm once again composing my masterpieces, but this time on the harp.
And I think it's important for anybody listening because I've been shut down too with certain things because I didn't have training as a vocalist, but I was called to use my angelic voice to sing, right?
Mm,
And I just didn't have that kind of training, or I couldn't repeat the same things. So then at certain points, I would dim my light and I wouldn't sing as much as I wanted to sing. I wouldn't
mm,
use the proper ranges because I was like, I don't have the training. People are going to judge me. Um, I say this because right now we have so many children that are gifted that are coming in to this planet. And as
mm.
parents, as brothers, as sisters, as aunts, uncles, grandparents, it's important to see the child's gifts and
Absolutely.
what they're here to do and help them nourish it and don't judge it. And don't say, you'd be better if you had professional training because the magic and the creative expression is an outlet for healing and for them to figure out more about themselves. So I just think that we need to use this conversation also as a tool for those of you that are surrounded by young ones, or even in your age, whatever you are at right now, to use your gifts and don't be scared if you don't have professional training. You don't need professional training. You don't need accreditation for something. If it's your natural gift, please share it. Please do it. Please
Mm.
explore it.
Yeah, I think we bring these things from the past with this music. This was something that I always had with me, and I brought it from the past. Like this life for me was about remembering
Yeah.
my talents and gifts that I brought with me from other times, in other lifetimes right now. So that's what I love encouraging people with the work I do here with my tours and guide work out on the land in Sedona. I do have a tour company here, uh, Sedona Sacred Land Journeys, and I love taking my clients out into the canyons, into the silence, and then creating that sacred space where they too could receive a vision or something could come
Mhm.
to them. And it happens all the time. People come here and they're like, oh my God, I remember I'm supposed to be a writer. I'm an artist. I want to sing. I want to dance. I'm a healer. It
Yeah.
comes through when you create that container, that space. And
Right.
so, yeah.
I love that. So I want to rewind because I know that when the land calls you, so Sedona called you, you mentioned you were living in your car. What
Yeah.
was going on in your life when you were called to Sedona? Because I
Well,
think that, yeah.
yeah, I talk about that in my book. I had been living in Colorado. I was a ski instructor in Aspen, and I had a life up there, skiing every day, teaching skiing to VIPs and kind of celebrities and that sort of thing. But there was something else for me, and I knew it because I would go up on the top of the mountain. I love to look over the Rocky Mountains there and have my conversations with God. And I was always in tune with my inner voice. My grandmother was a mystic, and my Irish grandmother, and it turned out she was very adept at spiritual science called Eckankar, which is the ancient science of soul travel. And it's very interesting. It came to this country in the 1950s by a guy named Paul Twitchell, who wrote a series of books. And he was in contact with some Himalayan masters that came to him.
Mm.
And they gave him this spiritual science and technique of meditation and soul travel using a mantra tone called the hue. It's HU. And the hue sounds like this. Hue. Okay, so it's actually like a C sharp, whereas the Om is more of C major, generally speaking. But the hue is a half step higher, and the hue is really a vehicle that you can soul travel with. And it's amazing tone, and it's very similar to that tone of the ringing rocks I told you about earlier that I was tuning into. And I was also aware of the hue. So I was actually singing the hue. I would go out in the canyons and just sing hue and then meditate. And that was a big part of it. But my grandmother, even as a young boy, when she was with me, helping to caretake me as a child, as grandmothers often do, she would tuck me in a bed and she would whisper into my ear. She would say, Peter, listen to your inner voice. Listen to your inner voice. Over and over and over, she would tell me that. So even as a young child, I started to hear that voice that we all have inside that is speaking to us, that small, still voice, the inner voice.
Yeah.
And this is connected to our higher self or our Christ self or our our higher self, our divine self that has this wonderful overview of things that we don't quite see here when we're in our little 3D life, but always trying to guide us and encourage us to take a higher path. It's that voice as we're walking down the market aisle and we're going, oh, those cookies look good. But that inner voice goes, Peter, don't eat those cookies. Those aren't the best thing for you, right? You know what I'm saying? We all
Oh
have that
yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
So I got really in touch with that, and that's been a real big part of me discovering my gifts is listening to the inner voice.
Hmm. Yeah, because they'll tell you to do things that do not make sense to the logical mind. Yeah.
I was going to say my grandmother, she was very adept at Eckankar, this ancient science of soul travel, and she would tell me as I was growing up, Peter, I hear the angels singing to me all day long. And as I got older and became a teenager and started going through the change of becoming more of a man, and I was already on my own journey, I became more curious exactly what she was doing. And then she started talking to me more. She said, okay, you're ready. And at 15, that's when she gave me the books and the manuals of soul travel that she had been studying for over 20 years and became a very high initiate and was recognized within the worldwide organization of ECIS. So yeah, that's how it started. I was always a soul traveler, and that's how I made the music. Was when I came here and went through the portal in the canyons and was taken out of my body. It was really like a death experience for me, and I write about it in great detail in my book. But that's how I was guided to really to seek a path of transcendence, and my nature was always so curious. I wanted to go across the veil, and I wanted to go to the other side to see if God is real. What's on the other side. I've always been that way. And that's when I came here, and I went through the veil, and that was my work. That was my mission. Not everybody has to do it, but that's how I was. Like the shamans, in traditional cultures, not everybody's a shaman, but the shaman goes to the other side and brings back spiritual gifts and wisdom for the whole tribe. And that's kind of my thing, like was to go get this visions and information and come back and tell people about what I saw on the other side, and to reassure them that God is real, love is real, and love is, when you get to the other side like that with the angels, you realize, my experience was that, the realm of the angelics and the higher celestial realms, the feeling there is pure love. It's pure divine love, and it's the unified field of oneness. Okay, and like people that have had near-death experience and have crossed over and come back, they talk about, it's very common, they saw the luminous sphere of golden light that's pulsating pure love, and that's what happened to me. I saw that too and experienced it, but the feeling is just pure oneness and love, and you realize that love is the most powerful force in the universe. Yeah. And when I came back, my mission through my music and the harp was to express this feeling, this emotion, this energy through the harp, through the sound textures and harmonics of this sacred instrument. And so that people can feel that the music is to bring people home, to remind them of home, in the oneness, in the love, in the light of God. That's what my music is for. That's where it comes from. And so when you come and listen to it, as you did when you walked in the forest, and I get this comment from so many people from all over the world, is that they feel the love and they feel the oneness, and it's very elevating. It's a tool of ascension. Like the music has the high frequency harmonics of the unified field of oneness in it. So let's say if we have listeners here who are struggling right now in their life, if they're dealing with some depression, anxiety, if they feel disconnected or somewhat lost with no direction right now, as our world is kind of spiraling in chaos, it's very stressful for all of us, the environment right now. So this music is a tool to help to bring you back, to reconnect you, and to create a cohesive, unified field of God's love for you. So I invite your listeners to come to harpmagic.com, come and have a listen. And if you listen to music on Spotify or Pandora, I have wonderful stations there. So please come over and have a listen. And I've had many people tell me they just come to my website and just listen to the samples, and they're like, oh gosh, I feel so much better. Yeah. I have tons of testimonials on the website. People telling all sorts of miraculous stories about what happens to them when they listen to my music. Many people see angels, they have visitations, they have spontaneous healings, the pain leaves their body, depression lifts, they feel elevated. So come and check those out too.
Yeah, definitely explore it. So the Mystic Voyager is your most recent.
Yes, that's
Tell
this one.
me, yeah, so tell me, guys, it's also on iTunes. That's what I listen to it. I just like downloaded
Yeah,
it. It's really great. So tell me
beautiful.
about the Mystic Voyager. What were you feeling when that came online for you to create?
Well, you can see, I don't know if you can see this image
Yeah.
on the cover, but that's the Mystic Voyager, that solitary being there, and he's getting ready to step up the temple of Ascension there
Mhm.
and go up the steps, symbolic of raising your vibration.
Yeah.
Each step is a higher frequency, and then to get up to the top there where there's this pillar of white light coming, and then the idea is to go and step into that light that's shrouded with crystals like angel wings, right? So this is an ascension beam portal. So the music is designed to take you there and take you up these symbolic steps when you listen to it. And it's just kind of like, it's just an archetypal story. Like, we're all mystic voyagers. As soon as you embark on your spiritual path, we embark, begin our journey down the mystical path of the soul. Because the nature of the soul it's mystical. It transcends time and space, and it can give us access to long forgotten and ancient memories stored in the depths of our soul, which have very important pieces. We can piece ourselves together. A lot of times we experience a level of fragmentation, but the music helps to unify that, and as we reclaim all our lost parts, and that's how we become whole again, by doing that kind of shamanic soul retrieval. And that's been my work, is to travel different times and spaces, like my world travels, going to Egypt and to England and Peru, and playing my harp in all the sacred sites. When I do, that's the magic of traveling to sacred sites, there's ancient memories there for you to retrieve and to remember who you are. And so that's what this music is woven into. The number one song is called Invocation, and beautiful vocals, my friend Say, a Nashville artist. And then also Nina Starsong does this beautiful light language, invoking right from the beginning, this invocation as we kind of cross over the threshold. So my albums are a wonderful experience from start to finish, listening in sequence, So...
Well, what I noticed is the electric blue, like the Blu-ray being kind of color. And I know that a lot of us that are drawn to harmonics and that kind of energies, we have that Blu-ray aspect to us, which makes us highly sensitive souls and attuned to our inner voice. And then the music is our therapy. And so I feel like by you even broadcasting color, because color is a whole nother frequency, right? We can talk about color and sound and the way that it works together. But to me, it's like, here I am. I'm putting this out for my soul family. Those of you who are drawn to this blue color, what you need to hear to awaken some of the aspects of self is in this album. It's in this album for you. So I love that you're using the codes with the artistry and the color to attract your soul tribe to listen to this, because music can activate you beyond the mind. Your heart is ready for it. So if you're hearing this and if you're seeing this album cover and you're intrigued, please listen. Please listen to that inner voice and go to Peter's website. I'll have everything in the show notes, iTunes, Spotify, and gift yourself this experience.
Thank you. Yeah. It's there's some very special music on here. I just wanted to mention there's a song on here called The Long Cold Winter, and it's number 6. And just a little story of how that came. Okay. I was having these afternoon jam sessions every week in my house with some of my music friends. And this one guy, he's a guitarist. We played for over 25 years together. He plays on my records, and name is Fitz, and we were sitting in my living room this one afternoon just improvising, and all of a sudden this really strong melody came through the harp, and we just dropped into it, and he played the perfect accompaniment to it, and it was like it came from start to finish, like a complete song. And when we ended it, we just looked at each other and we go, wow, that was amazing. Like, what is that music? And we just both sat there and kind of contemplated this music that just came through, and we thought, wow, it sounds like, and he even said, it sounds like Eastern Europe, like, and it's something of history. And it felt like, maybe it felt like winter time. And it felt like it was maybe during one of the world wars, like World War One or something, or one of the great European wars during the winter, and we both agreed like it felt like this, and we kind of looked up in, and we both kind of saw pictures of that there were people cold, and there were kind of images of a warlike scene.
Mm.
It was kind of a little bit heavy, but the music was so beautiful and had this transcendent quality to it. And when I sat with it after we left, I checked in with my angels, and they said, this is a really important piece of music. You need to record this immediately. So that's what I did. I came into my recording studio here, and I played the harp part and the melody line, and then I began to produce the track, just listening to what my angels were saying. And then as I was working on it, within a matter of days or weeks, the war in Ukraine broke out.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden we were seeing pictures on our TV of, the refugees walking, women and children, old people walking, and just the refugees, right? Millions of them. And I was I got it. I said, okay, that's what the angels told me. This music was not something from the past. It was a prophetic vision of something that was to come in the future. And I was so struck being a parent myself and seeing the little ones and the suffering that was going on there. It really touched me. But the angels told me, they said, this is really important. And they showed me a whole vision of releasing this song and creating a music video. So as fate would have it, I found an animating artist, an award-winning young woman who was from Ukraine. And we connected over the internet. And she did the beautiful artwork for the music video for this song, which showed the whole storyline. I got a whole screenplay and everything showing the events that happened. But in the end of it, it's a peace. It shows the hope for peace to this conflict. Mm. And then once it was finished, I released this music video to international film festivals around the world. I had never done this, but the angels told me this is like a little short film. And I won multiple awards around the world for music video of the year. Like I won all over the world, and I won the Los Angeles Cinematography Award for Best Music Video. It's been in Paris, in Italy, and nominated, honorable mentions, won many awards. So that's on the album too. And I invite you all to come, if you can search for it on YouTube, the music video for The Long Cold Winter, and see it.
Beautiful.
So that's just how the angels work. They just work with me. Yeah. And it's magical. And I love to connect people with their angels, to bring them into your life, because they're here to help us to live our best life,
So how did you get the Celtic harp, and why the Celtic harp?
Well, I have Celtic lineage. My mother is 100% Irish. Okay. And I come from a famous family of musicians in Ireland called the music. My mother's maiden name is Hughes. And my great uncle is Herbert Hughes, who was in the early 20th century, was a very famous music anthropologist in Ireland. He collected all the old country songs that were played in all the villages, and he compiled two volumes of Irish country songs, and he transcribed all the notation for it. And he was the one that did that. He was very famous and performed. So I have that in my lineage, and my family ancestry is the Irish Celtic connection. And it's just how it came through for me,
And so how did you get your first harp? Where did you find it?
Well, the first harp was, okay, so that's in the book too. Once the angels told me, because I was hanging in the canyons, I was having these transcendental experiences, connecting with the angels on the other side on multiple occasions. And they took me on many journeys and revealed a lot of things about my life and my past. But then they told me, your mission is to play the harp and channel the heavenly harmonics, the sounds of heaven for this time of the dawning of the golden age. Like that's my spiritual mission. Because when I was living in my van for years, I was on my vision quest and asking and praying that God reveal to me who I am, why am I here, and what's my mission? Because I knew, like perhaps some of your listeners, that I was here to help in this life. I was a light worker, and I knew I was here to help. And the whole reason they led me to the canyons to go through this experience was like I was going to receive a mission upgrade. A new dispensation was coming to me, and it was going to be my next phase of my life with the next mission. And that was to play the harp and channel the angels' music at this time, as a vehicle for people to connect with, to remind them of home, to bring them into the unified field of oneness and the angelic light and the blessing of that and the healing powers of that. And so as soon as I realized that, I told the angels at first, like, a harp? Are you kidding? Like, couldn't I have a guitar instead? You know? And they're like, no, there's millions of guitarists. You're going to be one of the only people playing the harp, and the only one that says they were taught by the angels. Like it's pretty much one of the only people that's doing it like this. There's maybe a few, but you don't see too often. So I finally surrendered and I said, okay, I'll do it. And as soon as I gave the permission, then the angels went to work and started making connections for me. And within a few days, I bumped into a woman at the health food store here in Sedona, started talking. It turned out she was a harpist. And I said, oh, I'm drawn to the harp, you know. And she said, well, I happen to have a little Celtic harp for sale. Why don't you come to my house and try it? I said, wow. And I could hear my angels going, yes, this is it. So I went to her house and saw this beautiful harp, and it was carved on the side with beautiful scroll work and kind of Celtic knots and things. It was a magic harp. Hence the name of my new book. It just came out, Peter and the Magic Harp. This is the story in a children's form. But yeah, she had a little harp, and I bought it for $300, and it had a little carrying case. And I went back out into the canyons with it because I was sleeping out in my Volkswagen van. I just sling it over my shoulder and walk out into the forest, into the canyons, and find a special place to just sit and just take out my harp and just sit and say a prayer and just put my hands to the strings, and I would just start strumming it like this. And then all of a sudden my hands began to actually pluck notes, and something started coming through my hands, a powerful energy. Mm-hmm. And the angels started to channel through me. And that's how I learned. I actually learned several years later, and many clairvoyant psychics told me they always saw one angel in particular hovering behind me when I would play. And then I got in touch. There was like this feminine angelic energy that would, what's called, overshadow me. It would kind of float above me. And when I would just relax and open myself, it would send these kind of energetic impulses that would actually move my hands on the strings by themselves. And as I got more comfortable with it, it felt like the angel would completely come into my body, and my hands would just, I could just completely relax my hands. And then all of a sudden they would just start playing by themselves, and I would just be watching them going, whoa, it was a very intense experience. It was a little bit scary because it was such a powerful force. And when it would happen, my eyes would tear profusely and I would start dripping sweat. It was so hot. And it was such a high frequency that I had physiological responses. But I had to do a lot of preparation. I'll just end with this. And was that before this happened, I had to do a lot of cleansing of my body, refining my nervous system, clearing my nervous system, preparing, fortifying my nervous system to plug in and connect with a high frequency like that. Because, you know, if you're not really ready for it, it can kind of throw you off. And there's a lot of people that kind of gone off the deep end by having a powerful mystical experience, and they can't quite handle it, you know.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that I was well prepared for the mission, because they didn't want to throw me off too much, because channel the sounds of heaven, it's a strong current. I mean, the harp, the way it lays up your body, it's very strong, powerful sound frequencies. Yeah, so that's how it started.
I think that's such an important thing to touch on for our listeners and viewers, because as you start to stream these higher frequencies, physical ailments will come up, and it's requesting you to change your diet. I'm sure you had to change your
I
diet.
did. I did. I was
Like for
doing a lot
me,
of
I had to go veg. Yeah.
vegetarian, juicing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
of course, cleansing, because all that, the toxins that we've held, from
Mm-hmm.
our childhood, all our childhood traumas, it's all stored in the cells, it's all imprinted, and a lot of it's held because the foods we were eating at the time, it's
Yeah.
all kind of imprinted on there and it gets stuck. So yeah, clearing that out, that's like the heavier, denser vibrations. There is a physical in the toxins that we hold. So to move those out and eat light and feel bright and raise the vibration, and because food is key, it's been a very big part of it for sure.
Yeah, and as what's happening on our planet right now, a lot of people are going through those physical symptoms and those cleansing, right? Like there's so many ailments that are arising right now. So when you use this music, yes, it can help soothe you, but at times it might feel like you're regressing because it's purging. You're having a purge, you're having a detox of what no longer serves you, right? And we have to touch on that because I want to normalize those feelings. Like this journey is not easy by any means. To be a channel of the divine, what Peter does, and to play this kind of music and to do what I do, it takes a lot of devotional, energetic daily practices. It's a different way of living. And so, right, Peter, like, I mean, I'm sure your whole lifestyle, for me, it's like hours in the morning of doing prayer, of eating, of moving my body so I can actually channel the frequencies and hold space and be a
Yes,
human.
it
Be
does.
a,
It does. I talk about this quite often, that we really need that time for self-care and to work on ourselves, to do our meditations, do your yoga, do your physical exercise, your walks, preparing healthy food.
Mhm.
All this stuff takes time in the day, and that's why I could never work a 9 to 5 job, because it was
No.
just, that would take too much of my time away from my spiritual practice and the time I need to do my ascension work, because I was very clear. So I've always found other ways to support myself, to have that freedom, to pursue the spiritual path.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So those of you who know that your body can't do the 9 to 5, neither can mine. That's why I
Mhm.
left my job as a microbiologist, because my lifestyle is for mission. We are here for mission. So if you're listening to this and you've made it this far, you're probably here on mission too. So the sound in these practices and ways of living and incorporating Peter's work into your daily practice can help you ground. It's very grounding. Even though it's very etheric, there's a grounding element. I feel it in my fascia, I feel it in my body. And I think that as pioneers of sound medicine, I think that's what we are here. We want to see it in the medical field. We want to normalize this for you guys to be in your body, not escape and go out of your body. So we're asking you to go into your body and to do the inner healing work so you can experience heaven on earth because it's within you, not outside of you.
Mm, yes, going within is the key. And I just thought I'd touch, as far as a really amazing tool that we talked about earlier, was
Yeah.
the patch, the stem cell patch that I've been using for 4 years. And this patch, it has little crystals in it that vibrate, and it looks like this. And you just stick one on your body every day. And this has changed my life. This is a light technology, and it comes from an inventor that's divinely inspired to bring this technology to assist all of humanity to raise the frequency and to activate codes in the DNA. This actually, we have clinical studies that show how this directly affects the DNA. It's
Mhm.
fascinating. So I also love sharing this with people, and maybe we'll put some information if people want to learn about the stem cell activation patch and how it rewrites codes in your DNA to a younger, activates your immortality codes and your bioregenesis codes to restore your health and bring you to a new level of frequency. It's really amazing technology.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I wanted to just pause for a second and give everybody, since there's a lot of energy flowing right now, just do a little integration.
Maybe I should
Um,
play it as you do that.
yeah, so I want
Okay.
to co-create, Peter. We'll co-create some magic.
Okay.
And let's set a joint intention to increase vibrancy and health. And we already said open the heart, but let's have people anchor into their bellies, their digestive tract, where I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on in the digestive tract for a lot of people at this time. So if we can co-create something that's tailored to digestive health, that would be really fun. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, right. So just take a nice deep breath and exhale out the mouth and invite in your angelic guides. We all have angelic guides, and they're happy to help. All we have to do is call them in and invite them in. Invite the angelic guides to come in, place their energetic hands on the spaces in your body that you're holding tension. Allow the body to release and reset. Allow the heart to open. Yarako senayai, sharamaki doyamai, satarako sanami, yukumiai. Shinamakaya. Alaitiao, alaitiao. Solaitia korea makariao. Beautiful. And we're going to bring in some rainbow light into the heart space. Everybody just receive this rainbow light into the heart space to bring in vibrancy, health, abundance, safety, safety, groundedness. Feel anchored in the body, yet healthy, luminous, and vibrant. Anchored, yet luminous, vibrant, and healthy. That's key, to be anchored into your fascia, into your bones, to activate those dormant cells with this rainbow frequency, and to receive more of you today. More of your magic from Harp magic. More of your magic from Harp magic. It's such a delight to come together in this sacred space with all of you and all your angelic guides. We want you, Peter and I, to remember that you can meet with your angels at any time. All you have to do is call them in and ask for assistance and listen. You don't have to be scared in doing this life alone. There is help from the unseen, and we are reminders. We are messengers to let you know that you can access this wisdom through the power of sound, through the power of engaging with the land, like the red rocks. And if you want to explore that with Peter, contact him. He can take you for a journey with his harp on the red rocks to explore the magic of Sedona, which is a magical portal for your healing and for your elevation and transformation. And so what's coming through as a gift to Peter, a gift to all of you, and just what I'm being called to do is bring in these rainbow frequencies through your heart and into your home and into the land, wherever you're watching this. We want to clear out the energy on the land that your home sits on, so you're not affected by frequencies that are trying to hijack your consciousness. This is really important for us to stabilize and ground the light at this time as pillars through our body, and that our homes be broadcasting stations of divine love. We can be broadcasting from wherever we are, but our homes are very sacred. Our homes are very sacred. And if you have gardens, this is coming through for Peter too. If you have gardens and you're growing your own food, it's even more sacred to be bringing in that light into the soil and clearing your land on a regular basis. And also gridding your home with crystals outside your home. And Peter, I'm seeing this beautiful geometric pattern that wants to be built around your home with crystal grids. So this is part of my gift, is when somebody comes on, I like to just give energies and frequencies to help propel them forward. And so you'll know there's sacred geometries, like a grid that wants to be built and changed for your house to power it up so that it connects you to even a higher octave of energy, so that you can stream it in, ground it into your house, nourish your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, the surrounding land with this, and create from this higher octave of frequencies that want to come through you, because your body is ready now to hold more. It wants more. It's ready for the next level. It's ready. So I just want you to really receive that. And everybody, you're receiving as I'm saying this, but it's coming through the spinal column, that pranic tube, okay? Like that pranic tube wants to get cleared, like zoom, 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 zoom. Just feel it. Sometimes people have make weird faces, move their body while I do this. So it's just feel it. And I'm going to bring it in really fast. It's zooming. It's coming in. Beautiful. And we're going to open up that heart, and we're going to remove layers around the heart. And this is a removal of scarcity for anybody watching this. Removing scarcity around the heart, the rib cage, opening up the throat. I want to peel back those layers. Electric blue light, like Peter's cover on Mystic Voyager. Electric blue light. Bring in the electric blue light. Let the pectoral muscles activate. Let the chest activate. Let the lungs activate. Om Gaia Om. Let it activate. Electric blue light. Arcturians coming in. Cut. Clear. Cut. Clear. Cut. Clear. Cutting ties that no longer serve you. Cutting ties and energetic connections that no longer align with your heart. So, Sufi energy coming in. New divine harp music coming in. An album to increase health and vibrancy for the human body, targeted to organs and fascia. Facilitating dance and movement as you listen to it. Giza codes coming in for you, Peter. You've had them, but now they need to be activated. Clear, clear. Past life trauma, clear, clear, clear. Good, perfect, amazing, 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 amazing. You were very receptive. Freaking amazing, baby, amazing.
I almost blew a circuit. Thank you.
We're good. We're good. Okay, so now everybody just, the bliss now can come in. So everybody just receive the bliss, the amazingness, the joy, the love, the celebration of human connection and coming together to share our gifts with one another, to expand one another, to love one another, and to harmonize. To harmonize.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just grounding that in.
I do have crystals all over my property outside and all through my house. I have like crystal grids, but I guess I need to upgrade my
you need to build, you need to build another one. You'll know what to do. It's almost like like a diamond shape. Like it wants, like your home wants to be inside a diamond shape.
Okay.
But also, if I could draw it, I'll have to share with you. It's like a diamond, but then there's like two circles, one on the right side and one on the left. So on the east of the west, so it's almost like it's coming out. And so Spirit wants me to, before we get off, talk to you about crop circles. They just basically said that putting this grid, it's almost like energetically, it creates almost like the geometry of a crop circle energetically for energies to find you. It's almost, I don't want to freak everyone out, but it's almost like for certain, because you're in Sedona, for certain spacecraft to also like find you, and you're like beings that you're connected with to find you, to like give you more voltage, like to create with, to connect with telepathically, but also the land to help you regenerate more through the land. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, I'm very connected to the crop circles. I don't know if you knew that, but I went 3 years in a row with groups to the crop circles in 2009, 10, and 11. So, and my artwork is very similar to crop circles, my geometric patterns. You can see one of my stained glass windows right back here behind me.
Yeah.
I'll just show you real quick before
Yeah.
on. And this is a beautiful piece here. Let's see.
That's amazing.
And this one has a beautiful polished quartz crystal. They all have crystals in them.
Now, are you selling these?
Well, I do. I have for years. I don't have a lot in stock on what I'm showing, what I have now. Just give me 1 second and I'll show you.
So thank you everybody for being here. Here you go.
So the angels, when I came back in 2012 to Sedona, they showed me a new art form that I've created, which I call portals of light. And so they showed me a way to photograph my stained glass windows with a special kaleidoscopic effect. And now I'm creating these multi-dimensional images that have crystals and gems laid in. These are photographs of my stained glass windows that are embellished with like amethyst and apophyllite and green parrot, all sorts of crystals and gems in them.
This is amazing. I just want to say, guys, do you see Peter let this in. He let this move through him in his life. And look at all these creations. He's written books. He has this artwork. He's
Yeah.
making music. This is what happens when you let the divine move through you and you get your body right to receive this information.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
That
So
cool?
it's so cool. So, Peter, like, what's coming through is, have you ever thought about taking custom orders to make a soul signature artwork for somebody to put in their house to broadcast more healing energy, and then a soundtrack that goes with it that they listen to, so that the house has the art that activates the home?
Well, I kind of do that. Like these pieces are in collectors all over the world. People, I've been selling these in the galleries, but I have a showroom in my home. So if
Yeah,
anybody comes to Sedona and wants to connect with me, I let people come to my home and see the
yeah.
gallery space I have here. And yeah, so I have done that. I have done custom pieces where I tune in to the person's soul essence and then I see what comes through and apply the gems and the patterns and all that. Yeah, I do that.
That's
And then I
amazing.
usually give them one of my CDs as the
Yeah,
music.
and that's perfect too, because I mean it's a lot of work to make soul songs and that, but what's really coming through is the frequency of homes and your medicine changing the frequency of homes through this artwork and through the music. And when we create, I guess they're saying Soul Sanctuary, another album wait, is it? No, Sanctuary of Light. Is it Sanctuary of Light? What's
Sanctuary of Light is one of the previous albums, yes.
okay, but they're saying it's like a soul sanctuary, creating a soul sanctuary through these gifts that you have for people in their homes.
Well,
And
that's what my
yeah,
home is a soul sanctuary. I
that's,
love bringing my clients here because I have beautiful gardens. I have
yeah,
veggie gardens and flower gardens, and I have
yeah,
crystals throughout the garden and in my house. And I have a whole experience that people have when they
right.
come because I have a light grid set up and
Yeah,
there's some magic going on here too. And if any
yeah.
of your listeners, these are available now. These portals of light. So if you want to inquire about what I have available for a crystal embellished portal of light art piece for your home, please let me know. Yeah.
This is, you're really magical with this home setup with the gridding and the crystals of your home and the garden. And you should consider teaching people about this in workshops on how they can elevate the frequency of their home.
Well, maybe
It's
we could do
coming.
one together sometime.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Something there, it's like really, really coming through about elevating the frequency of homes and this crystal magic and technology.
But
Yeah.
you're bringing through a lot, so I'm going to have to rewatch this video and make some notes here. If I
Yeah. That, that's what I'm an activator, Peter. This is what I do.
carry a high voltage current, yes, you do.
Well, I think this is good. So you guys can see everything in the show notes. Definitely get his book. I did want to just touch on one more thing before we get off the childhood book,
Mhm.
because if you want to just show that to
Yes.
everyone, this is so
Magic Harp.
adorable.
It just came out last month. It's brand new. It's 25, 30 years in the making because I saw a vision of a children's book right from the very start. It's a magical story about how Peter went into the forest and loved to to wander the forest by himself, and that's where he heard the music. He was wandering in the forest, and then he came to a clearing where angels appeared to him, and they were playing harps. He heard their music, and then they gave him the magic harp, and then he started playing it with all of his heart and soul, practicing every day, and then eventually he started wandering from village to village and playing his harp, and he became known as the healer of souls. And people would often cry when they would hear him play, and then the angels appeared to him again with more message. And eventually, what happened was he was invited to come and play for the king and the queen in the royal palace. And he
Ooh.
moved into the palace and he played his harp every day and brought peace and harmony to the palace. And then when his time came, he returned to heaven and rejoined with the angels when he was an old guy there at the end, and his mission was done, and played his harp for eternity.
I want this book.
This is a magical story. It's in a Kindle. You can get it on Amazon Kindle, and please come and get this. If you have little ones that need a special magical story to believe in their visions and dreams and a higher power and to live an extraordinary life, that's what this is about. I made it for little ones so that they could connect with the angels and the magic of the angels' blessing in their lives. So it's a Kindle version and paperback on Amazon.
Perfect Christmas presents for family. Yeah. Peter, you need to go into schools and bring your harp and read the story to the kids. Like, you need to do that.
I've done that in the past before I had a children's book, and I would go into schools and play and tell stories of the harp and the legends and the myths and the history of the harp. And it's very cool. You're right. I want to do a tour to schools and libraries for kids and, presentation. Thank you for affirming that for me.
Totally. That like gets me really excited to see you because the imagery is beautiful. Who is the artist that did that for you?
I found a special artist who designed the art for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's really lovely.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on my show. It was a pleasure to have you. And thank you. Any last words you want to say to the viewers?
Well, thank you for having me. It's just been wonderful. I feel uplifted. I feel there's joy in my heart. I feel happy. My heart is happy and I feel full. And my cup is running over right now, thanks to you. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming to listen to us. And hope you can visit me at harpmagic.com. And if you come into Sedona, let me know and we'll go explore some of the secret spots here on one of my magical tours.
Thank you, everyone, and check out the show notes. Everything will be there. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
God bless.